Hey guys, it's Sydney and welcome back to A Week in the Life of. So this week we're going to do things a little bit different. I asked you if you wanted a Q&A and most of you did. And the biggest questions I was asked is, how did you actually become a fashion blogger? So I figured it was good timing since I just taught a session on the business of blogging with Simply Stylist. So I wanted to give you a little sneak peek into that and then I will get to all your questions. I'm at the Grove about to host a Simply Stylist session on the business of blogging.
All right, well, we've got 3 hours of this wonderful lady's brain and knowledge and everything that she's learned along the way. If you don't know who this is Sydney Summer, fashion and lifestyle blogger.
So I'm at Simply Stylist and I'm hosting a workshop on the business of blogging with all these fabulous bloggers. Say hi, everyone. Hi. I had so much fun teaching that class. I mean, the bloggers were amazing. It was just so nice meeting everyone. But now it's time for your questions. So the biggest question I've been asked, how did you become a full-time blogger? Well, actually, Pelin Demir said, was blogging your ultimate career goal? No. Not at all. Blogging was not my career goal. When I was in college, people didn't really know what blogs were. My career goal was to be a magazine editor at Elle or InStyle or one of those magazines I loved. But instead, I ended up working at E! Entertainment. Fresh out of college, I was an assistant for E! Online, and then I became the Hollywood party girl columnist. So essentially, I would go to these Hollywood parties and give people a taste of what it was like, you know, talking to the celebrities, what the drinks were like, the food. I talked to Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, Nicole Richie, basically every party girl at the time, as well as, you know, major actors and actresses. It was such a cool experience and I wouldn't have traded it for anything. But I've always loved fashion, always. So when the Style Network launched their website, I don't know if you guys remember the Style Network, but it used to be an awesome channel. It doesn't exist anymore. It was the sister network of E! So they launched a fashion site and I was brought on as the fashion editor. And it was a great experience. I attended a ton of events. I wrote daily blog posts. I hosted on-air TV segments. I did styling. It was an incredible experience. So I always tell people, you know, when they're graduating college, get a real job. You know, it really does help. You know, fashion blogging for me was just a hobby I had. I had a job, I had to deal with all the corporate politics, and I learned a ton about the business, which is very important if you want to become a full-time blogger. So when I was at Style Network, I always dressed up, and one of my friends was like, well, you should start a blog. And I was like, I don't know, that's kind of weird posting pictures of yourself. But I did, and luckily it got to a point where, you know, I was making good money from it, but I had a full-time job and it was really hard doing both. So I sat down with my editor and we decided that I can go off on my own and still freelance for Style Network. So I was very fortunate with that. So that takes me to, how did you start blogging? Well, like I said, it was purely a hobby. You know, it was just fun. I just did outfit pictures during lunch. But I really enjoyed it and I started working with a ton of brands. So another question you guys have been asking me is, how did you get so far in the fashion blogging industry? Well, I think my first job had so much to do with it. Not I think, I know my first job had a lot to do with it because I did a ton of networking. So I spent all my money in my 20s taking people out to drinks and dinner and coffee, and I think it really helps forming those relationships. So later in life, you know, maybe someone is at Coach one day and they're at Stella and Dot the next day. You know, publicists move around, but if you form those relationships, they'll think of you for different projects. So I definitely owe the majority of my success to networking. Another question was, how do you get to attend all these cool events? Great question. I feel very fortunate that I do. Again, it's back to networking. So you meet with different publicists and marketing people, you get on their list, you get on the radar, and even if you're not networking with the publicists, you can also network with other bloggers. I have a ton of events that my friends aren't invited to, and my friends invite me to events that I'm not invited to. So it's really about sharing the wealth. You know, the fashion blogging community, luckily in LA, I don't know about other parts in the world, but in Los Angeles, everyone's so friendly and helpful. So I've formed some amazing friends, best friends, from doing what I do. Another question from Tiffany Michelle was, do you borrow from all the stores for your shoots? How do you get to do that? Do you have to pay for any of the clothes? Those are great questions, and it all depends. Sometimes, yes, I borrow from brands. They have showrooms, so you can do pulls, and basically you're borrowing product and then you give it back. Sometimes stores will let you borrow product. You have to be very careful and keep it perfectly intact. And then sometimes I buy my clothing. It really depends. Of course, I can't afford every single thing that I put on my blog, because if I bought everything on my blog, I would not have a home. So I definitely do borrow things, but I borrow stuff more for shoots. For example, my A to Z trend guide, I work with publicists saying, you know, in exchange for a promotion on my video and blog, can I borrow your clothing and feature it? So you really want to think of it as a way that you can help both people. So how can the brand help you and how can you help them? Of course, there are paid sponsorships. It really depends on what level of blogging you're at. Fashion S asked me, are you also a stylist? Yes, I'm also a stylist. When I was at Style Network, I styled a ton of different on-air segments. I also do a lot of TV segments for KTLA or E! News, where I style the models and then I talk about what I'm doing there. So styling is a great way to get into fashion blogging. You learn so much, but let me tell you, it is hard work. That's why I'm not a full-time stylist. It's just not for me. I mean, you have to lug around clothes every day, pick them up, return them, you know, get all these things for fittings. It's a lot of work, but I do like styling time and again for TV segments and commercials. And then of course, being a blogger, you are a stylist. You know, you're styling yourself and you're styling to help other people. So if you see a blogger that has her own stylist 24/7, I mean, she's basically a model. Another question I got from you guys was, how do you stay organized and keep up with everything? Well, it's hard. It's definitely hard, but I am very type A. I don't know if I've showed you guys before, but my Google Calendar is color-coded. Here, let me take you through my Google Calendar. It's crazy color-coded. I don't know if you can see this. So there's pink, orange, yellow, green. Each color stands for a different type of event. I have my editorial calendar, so I plan different posts in advance. For example, on my blog, Sydne Style, every Monday is what to wear to. So I cover different tips on what to wear to different occasions, whether it's Memorial Day or black tie wedding or any fashion dilemmas you guys might have. Every Wednesday, which is green, I do Inspired By, where I'm inspired by one of my favorite celebrities. Every Friday, red, I have my Friday fave, where I take you to my favorite spots both in LA and during my travels. And yeah, so I mean, my meetings as well are color-coded. Yellow is a work meeting, teal is drinks with friends, so I know if I need to slow down one day, I can cancel the teal. I think it's really just about finding something that works for you. I know a lot of people like paper calendars, and that's great. Definitely to-do lists are very, very helpful. Those I often do on paper. If you look over here, I got this cute little planner. So it has by the day different schedules. So I start penciling those in, or pink penning those in, so I know tasks that I need to do that day, whether it's planning outfits or, you know, doing returns. So organization is a huge priority you need when you are doing blogging as a business. And another thing to remember is emails. I get so many emails a day and it's exhausting. So what I do is I put them all in a folder right when I get them, unless I need to answer it immediately. I put them in a folder, and then every night I spend half an hour to an hour answering all the emails, because I feel horrible when I find an email that's sitting in my inbox from 3 weeks ago and it's irrelevant. So really try to keep up with that. I've also been trying to wake up earlier. I am not a morning person. I hate it. My boyfriend, however, is a morning person. So he's been getting me up earlier, and you'll be surprised if you actually wake up at 7. I mean, maybe that doesn't sound late to some of you, but sorry, maybe that doesn't sound early to some of you, but for me it is. If you wake up early, you can get so much done by 10 a.m. and then you can take a little break at Extend Bar and get your workout in, which I definitely need to put in my calendar. So I hope you guys enjoyed that mini Q&A session on how I became a fashion blogger. So if you want more Q&As, just do a little thumbs up and leave a comment in the section below and let me know what you want me to talk about. Next week, we're returning to regular programming. I have a really, really busy week. I'm going to a movie premiere. I'm checking out a new cool restaurant in West Hollywood. What else is on my schedule? I'm playing tennis with Lacoste. I'm taking you to a Lauren Conrad event. I have a ton ton of photo shoots, so it's a very, very busy week coming up. Again, thank you guys so much for all your comments. It means so much to me, so keep them coming, and I will see you next week. Bye.